Welcome back to the Domesticated Nature channel. This is Ben. Today I wanted to show you how I actually apply the water to some of my plants as far as when I dunk them. What I've got going on right here as we speak, this is an old cat litter bucket that's been thoroughly cleaned. It still has some plant residue in it from the last time I watered them. I take this and I put it in the sink, and since I have my RO water on tap, I put a fair amount of that in here, and that's really cold because it came straight off of the cold water line. And then I also fill up the skillet with RO water, and I really heat it, and that way when I mix the two, it's a nice lukewarm temperature. It feels good to the plants because that's what they like. And I go a little bit beyond what I should just because each plant that I dunk in there cools it a little more. So I'm going to try to mix these two here. This would be way easier if I had a GoPro. Let's see what I can do here. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Hopefully it also doesn't go everywhere. Like that. Alright, now that I've added the two, it's a nice temperature. It's a little bit warm, but again, like I said here, this would be way easier with the GoPro. Which one? First I'll take my azalea here, and you're going to completely submerge it, and at the same time, usually using two hands, you're going to firmly press down so that it can bubble. It's much better to use two hands because at some point the dirt is going to start trying to float out of the pot, and that way if you have two hands on it, you can hold it firmly in place. It won't float out of the pot. So this thing is going to bubble for a little while because there's all kinds of air pockets within it. Sometimes this can take up to 10 minutes. Won't hold it under here for 10 minutes. This isn't bad for the plant in any way. I mean, I'm not leaving it in the water for days at a time, so I'm not going to drown it here, but this is good to get the arrow to really get the roots saturated. And then when it stops bubbling here in a moment, what I'll do is I'll lift it out of the water and I'll let it drain a little bit, and once the dripping slows down, I'll set it in its saucer and let it drip in there for a little bit. Then it'll catch a lot more of the water. And then I'll go and I'll start on the next plant, and as the next plant is going, the saucer will fill up, and I'll kind of rotate through putting the next one in its saucer and then dumping the initial saucer out from this plant, and so on and so forth. Now the bubbling is starting to slow, so I'm going to carefully lift this guy out and let this guy drip back into the bucket. I'm going to set it on the edge here. This yellow thing right in front of me here is something I mentioned in an earlier video. It's called a sticky stake. They come in packages of 7 or 14, I believe, and they're just a really sticky piece of fly paper, and you put them in your pots, and all those little bugs I was telling you about get stuck to there, and it ends up catching a lot of them. And you know, for me, there's a lot of them because of the simple fact that I have 140 houseplants. But I stand behind these. They do a very good job. I've got them all over in my garden. I try to hide them as best I can so you can't see them everywhere. I wish I could balance this here, but I need to grab my saucer. Maybe I just spin around quick and put that over the saucer. I think it's just about done dripping anyways. So like I said, you put it in the saucer and it'll kind of fill up with the excess water down here. And that's also good for humidity, as I mentioned in my previous video. As it slowly evaporates, it's just good for the plant. And now what I'll do is I'll take the next one and I'll dunk that as well, and I'll just cycle through everything. And I do this with most of my potted plants. Obviously the ones that are in the actual physical garden I can't dunk, but this is what I do with my potted plants. So I just wanted to show you guys how to submerge and then let your plant drip out. The next time I do this will be when the dirt is again dry. So in the winter it was 5 to 7 days. In the summer it could be a week or two. So this has been Ben again on the Domesticated Nature channel. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.